The corporate dinner was supposed to run until midnight. I remember checking my watch at exactly 9:45, right when my boss leaned over and told me the client had canceled last minute, and the whole event was wrapping up early. I felt relieved. All I wanted was to go home, change out of that stiff suit, and surprise my wife Sarah with the good news that I'd finally landed the promotion I had been chasing for 2 years. I had no idea that driving home early that night would be the worst decision of my life. The drive back felt normal at first. I even stopped to buy a small bouquet of white roses, her favorite, from a gas station near our neighborhood. I was smiling the entire way, imagining her face lighting up when I walked through the door unannounced. Little did I know, my phone had been buzzing all evening with messages I hadn't checked. Messages that, looking back now, were trying to warn me. My best friend Daniel had texted twice, asking where I was, saying it was urgent. I ignored them, thinking work business could wait until morning. When I pulled into the driveway, something felt off immediately. Sarah's car wasn't there, but there was another car parked outside our house, a black sedan I didn't recognize. My stomach tightened, but I told myself it was probably a neighbor or a delivery driver. I walked toward the front door, roses in hand, my heart still light with excitement about sharing my news. The porch light was off, which was strange because Sarah always kept it on when I wasn't home. I unlocked the door quietly, not wanting to startle her if she was already asleep. The house was dim, lit only by the soft glow coming from the hallway that led to my home office, the private room where I kept my work files, and where Sarah rarely ever went. I heard faint voices, a man's low laugh mixed with Sarah's voice, one I hadn't heard in months, playful and warm in a way she hadn't been with me in a long time. My chest tightened. I told myself it was nothing, maybe a coworker dropping off documents, maybe an old friend. I walked closer, roses trembling slightly in my grip. I pushed the office door open just a few inches, enough to see clearly, and what I saw shattered something inside me instantly. Sarah was standing there, in the very room where I had built my career from nothing, wrapped in the arms of a man I recognized. Michael, her old college friend who I had always trusted, who I had even invited to our wedding 3 years ago. Her fingers were tangled in his hair, and his hand rested on the small of her back like it belonged there. Neither of them noticed me standing frozen in the doorway. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. The roses slipped from my hand and hit the hardwood floor with a soft thud that echoed louder than it should have. Sarah spun around, her face draining of color the instant she saw me. Michael stepped back immediately, stammering something I couldn't even process. My mind was spinning, trying to make sense of the woman I had married, the woman who had promised me forever, standing there in another man's arms in our own home, in the room where I kept everything I had worked so hard to build. "It's not what it looks like," she said, her voice trembling, but her eyes told a different story entirely. I looked at the desk behind them and noticed my laptop was open, files scattered, papers I recognized as confidential business documents for my company. Something cold settled in my stomach that had nothing to do with betrayal of the heart. This wasn't just an affair happening under my roof. There was something else going on, something involving my work, my career, the very promotion I had come home to celebrate. I stepped further into the room, ignoring the tears now streaming down Sarah's face, and my eyes fell on a folder I recognized instantly. Client contracts from the deal I had spent the last 6 months closing. Michael worked for our biggest competitor. My hands went numb as pieces started falling into place faster than I could process them. This wasn't just my wife cheating on me emotionally and physically. This was betrayal on every level a person could experience, wrapped into one single unbearable night. "How long?" I finally managed to ask, my voice barely above a whisper, though inside I was screaming. Sarah opened her mouth to answer, but Michael cut in instead, saying words that made my blood run cold. Words about contracts, about information, about money changing hands for months. Sarah's face crumbled as she realized there was no more hiding it, no more lies to construct. Everything I thought I knew about my marriage, my career, and the person I trusted most in this world collapsed in the space of a few devastating minutes. I stood there, staring at both of them, the roses still lying broken on the floor between us, a painful symbol of everything I had walked in with. Hope, love, excitement, and everything I was now walking away from. Sarah reached for my arm, begging me to let her explain, but I pulled away. There was nothing left to explain. The evidence was scattered across my own desk, in my own office, in the home we had built together. I felt something inside me shift permanently in that moment, a door closing that would never open again. I picked up my laptop, closed the folder of stolen documents, and walked past both of them without another word. Sarah's sobs followed me down the hallway, along with Michael's desperate attempts to justify what I had just witnessed. None of it mattered anymore. I grabbed my car keys from the counter, my hands shaking with a mixture of rage and heartbreak I had never experienced before in my life. I didn't know where I was going, only that I couldn't spend another second in that house, breathing the same air as the two people who had destroyed everything I believed in. The drive that followed was a blur, headlights blending into streaks of light as tears I didn't even realize were falling clouded my vision. I called Daniel, finally understanding why he had been trying so desperately to reach me all evening. He answered on the first ring, his voice heavy with guilt, admitting he had suspected something for weeks but hadn't known how to tell me. Betrayal, I learned that night, doesn't just come from the people who hurt you directly. It comes from silence, from suspicion left unspoken, from moments that could have changed everything if only someone had said something sooner. What happened in the weeks that followed changed the course of my entire life. The divorce, the corporate investigation, the fallout that reached far beyond my marriage and into the career I had spent years building. But that night, standing frozen in my own office doorway, roses shattered at my feet, taught me something I will never forget. Sometimes the people closest to you hide the deepest betrayals, and sometimes coming home early isn't just about surprising someone, it's about finally seeing the truth you were never supposed to see.